Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, and we talk about Big Ten football, Big Ten basketball, every team, every day here on the Big Ten Huddle. You're on the basketball channel right now. If you're on YouTube, you can also check out the football channel as well. But in this video, we're talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes basketball team and the growing concern on everybody's mind, which is it time for Fran McCaffery to move on, hang it up as head coach of the Iowa men's basketball program? That already happened in Indiana. All right. Should he be on the hot seat? This is going to be a hotly debated topic. I know that. So let's buckle up as we break down both sides of the argument. I'm going to give both sides of the argument and see who's to believe this time as Iowa goes in possibly a new direction, stays in the same direction, and who think Fran McCaffery could stay and go in that direction as well. Before we jump into it, I do want to remind you, please do like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening on podcasts, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. Also, most platforms do allow you to comment, so please do comment if that your platform allows that, and let me know what you think. I try to respond to as many comments as I can, and I really appreciate you guys doing that. So, and I know this one's gonna have a lot of thoughts that go with it. So, all right, here we go. Fran McCaffery has been at the helm at Iowa basketball for 15 years. And during that time, he's brought stability and credibility to a program that was struggling when he first arrived. With 7 NCAA tournament appearances and a Big Ten tournament championship in 2022, it's clear McCaffery's tenure has had its high points. All right. Excuse me. But the current landscape isn't looking great as of right now. Iowa stands at 14-11 overall and a 5-9 overall record in the Big Ten. They've lost 7 of their last 9 games, and frustration for the fans is mounting. The question becomes, is Fran McCaffery the guy, the man, the leader to lead this program out of this slump, or is it time for a fresh face to step in? Let's start with the arguments of it's time to move on from Fran McCaffery. Some fans are calling for his dismissal, and they're pointing to several key issues. We're going to list them here. Number one, the lack of postseason success. Perhaps the most glaring criticism of McCaffery's tenure and is Iowa's inability to make it past the second round into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Despite having very talented teams, he's had tons of NBA players. He's had Luke Garza, Keegan Murray. He had his brother, Keenan Murray. I forget his name. I apologize. But Iowa has never made it to the Sweet 16 under McCaffery. For a program with aspirations of competing on the national stage, this lack of postseason success is a major black mark, especially when you consider that the issues seem to keep being there over and over and over again with defense. This team can score really well, but the issues seem to persist year in and year out. Issue number 2 is the declining fan interest. Iowa's home attendance has been on the decline, and this is a concern for pretty much any program out there. Fans are losing interest, and some argue that McCaffery's leadership isn't inspiring the fan base enough in the way that it once did. Apathy in the stands can often be a sign that a change is needed at the top. Issue number 3 is, and this one sounds weird, but fans are upset about it, McCaffery's mellow demeanor. There's been a noticeable shift in McCaffery's sideline behavior, once known for his fiery temper, intense demeanor. I look back to the Big Ten tournament when he's staring at the ref and they're just like staring at each other for 10, 15 seconds straight. McCaffery has been more subtle in recent years. While some fans used to complain about his outbursts and others are and all those things that went on, others are now concerned that he's lost his fire. Has he mellowed out too much, and is this affecting his ability to motivate his players and inspire the team to succeed? Finally, issue number 4 is his age and family situation. At 65 years old, McCaffery isn't getting any younger. His youngest son, Jack McCaffery, is headed to Butler next season, where his other son, Patrick, is playing, and his eldest son, Connor, is an assistant coach. There's growing speculation that Fran may be ready to retire and focus on watching his son's career rather than continuing to lead Iowa. With his contract running through 2027 slash 28, the timing of a potential exit could be aligning. If Iowa's administration believes a change is necessary, it's possible they could buy out McCaffery's contract at a reasonable price. More on that in a minute. But Would that be the right move? Let's also take a look at the other side and try to understand the fans who are wanting to keep Fran McCaffery and their reasons why. While there's plenty of criticism, and I think those things probably make a lot of sense to most people, there's also strong arguments on why Fran McCaffery should stay as the head coach of the Iowa men's basketball team. Here's what supporters are saying about that. Reason number one is that he brings stability and credibility to the program. Before McCaffery took over, Iowa basketball was in a rough spot. He brought stability to the program, and while they haven't achieved postseason glory, they're consistently being competitive. Iowa has made 4 of the last 5 NCAA tournaments, including winning the Big Ten tournament in 2022. Now, they're probably not going to make it this year, so it's going to be 4 of the last 6, but still, that's a pretty good record, especially for a team in Iowa that was not making the tournament before he got there. For a program that was struggling to even make the postseason, it is no small feat. Reason number 2 is a promising young core. It's not like this team is senior laden and they have nobody behind them or anything. This team has a solid foundation of young players, including guys like Brock Harding, Owen Freeman. Josh Dix is a little bit older, but he's going to continue to be around. I think he's a senior or junior next year. Price Sanford is the same year as Brock Harding. These are players who could develop into key contributors in the future. McCaffery has shown he can recruit, in his recent classes suggests that recruits still believe in his vision for the program. Should Iowa really make a change before seeing what his young core can achieve under McCaffery's guidance? The obvious, counter to that is we've seen what happened with his other young guys, right? He has Peyton Sanford, a future NBA or at least NBA draft pick on this team, and they're still not achieving. I would say Owen Freeman being injured is a little bit a part of that, but that's neither here nor there. Reason number 3 is his culture and leadership. It's worth noting that the Iowa players still seem to be fully bought into McCaffery's leadership. After a recent win against Rutgers, senior Peyton Sanford described it as a culture win, praising the team's resilience despite adversity. The emotional response from McCaffery as well after that victory shows that he still cares deeply about his team, about their success and everything they're putting into this season. He's built a culture of accountability and unity, which shouldn't be overlooked. Finally, reason number 4 is his coaching experience. While 65 may seem like an age where retirement is on the horizon, there are plenty of coaches who continue to succeed into their late 60s and beyond. 65 doesn't necessarily mean you have to retire by this time. It might mean that for some, but we've seen coaches be able to go past that and still coach well. College basketball is increasingly a young man's game, but McCaffery still has the experience and and the know-how to coach at a high level. Here's the tricky part. Both sides have valid points. I'm just going to say it. Both sides have valid points. Iowa's administration finds themselves at a crossroads. Firing McCaffery isn't as simple as making a snap decision. They do need to have a solid plan in place if they choose to part ways with him. And to me, I think that's the biggest thing. Do they have a plan in place? Do they have somebody in place? If they do decide to move on, who would they have replace him? Well, some potential candidates floating around could be Darren DeVries, the head coach at West Virginia, former head coach at Drake, out there at Ames. Ben McCollum, he's also the head coach right now at Drake, and so that's there in the state. Mike Morrell, who is the head coach at UNC Asheville. Ryan Odom, the head coach at VCU. However, if Iowa's administration isn't confident they have one of these guys that they can land after McCaffery departs, one of these top candidates, it might be smarter to give McCaffery another year, avoid a rest decision that could set the program back if you also if you are not able to hire somebody who can come in and do a good job. It's also worth considering the timing. Fran's buyout decreases on April 1st, so it's a decision that's going to be made. It won't likely happen until after this season. I guess it could. It's just they're going to be paying more on the buyout. But even if you wait until then, that's not an optimal time to fire your head coach, especially if your team is not making the tournament with the transfer portal and everything else going on. This gives the administration time to see how Iowa finishes the year and assesses whether McCaffery still has the ability to lead the program moving forward. At the end of the day, Fran McCaffery's future at Iowa is still up in the air. There's no denying that his tenure had its highs, right? There were very good situations, very good moments for Iowa fans, but the recent struggles and lack of depth, lack of deep tournament runs have left many questioning his future. The decision for Iowa isn't just about McCaffrey's past. It's about the future of the program, whether he's the right man to guide this team into the next chapter. What do you think? Should Fran McCaffery be on the hot seat, or does he deserve more time to turn things around? Let me know in the comments, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you are. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, 5-star rating. Really, really appreciate that from you guys. And contact me on social media. My personal social media is JRS_rankings, JR's rankings. If you want to contact me through the Big Ten Huddle, we're there as well. The Big Ten Huddle, all one word, at the Big Ten Huddle. This conversation's only going to heat up as the season progresses. Thank you for tuning into the Big Ten Huddle. Make sure you like, subscribe, share for more Big Ten football and basketball content, and we'll see you next time. That wraps up today's episode, whether you're listening on podcasts or watching on YouTube. Thank you for your support, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.